The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless is a very straightforward wireless version of the Cloud 2. The build quality, comfort, and sound signature of both of these devices are the same, but I will be covering the differences in depth. Starting with the Cloud 2 wired, I have several videos on this device and a full review of it, so I'll try to be pretty quick with this. But really quickly, on connectivity, you can use the 3.5mm cable that's here that comes with the device. It's non-detachable. Or you can use the USB sound card that comes with the device, and then you can use this USB Type A. The benefit of the sound card is it ensures functionality across multiple devices, like a laptop. If your 3.5 jack doesn't accept mic input, it also will work with console. I tested this on PS4 and of course my PC. The downside is the sound card does significantly degrade the audio quality, and it adds some sort of a noise reduction filter to it, which I have been testing recently. Talk a little bit more about that in the microphone audio quality section. All the controls are on the sound card itself. You have the headphone volume buttons right here. This is actually the system volume. So if you press these, they'll increase the volume of like Windows settings. There is the mic gain volume, which is the gain of the mic itself. The 7.1 virtual surround sound button, which I would never suggest pressing ever. And then the mic mute switch that is on the side. You can also take the mic out entirely. The Cloud 2 Wireless has its connectivity and controls a lot more streamlined, just like the Astro A50 wireless versus the A40 wired. Starting with the controls, on the bottom of the right ear cup, there is the system volume wheel. Again, controls the volume in like Windows settings. Left ear cup at the top, there's this green light that will indicate like how much power there is. I think it will stay steady if it's at 90% or above. It'll just blink just depending on how much power you have and if it's connected. Then there's the power button, which will obviously power it on. If you hold it for a few seconds, or if you hold it for a few seconds, you can turn it off. But if you just tap it, then it will toggle the virtual surround sound effect on or off. Now, under the power button is this mic mute button. You can press it right here and it will turn the light on the mic to show that it's muted. And if you hold it, then it will enable the side tone or mic monitoring. Now, I didn't find this very useful because it's really quiet, but it is there. And then there is a USB Type-C port so that you can charge the device. And just like the Cloud 2, the microphone on the Cloud 2 Wireless is also detachable. As far as connectivity, this only works wired and it only pairs with this transmitter that comes with the device. This will like light up red to show that it's like pairing or paired or whatever it is. But this doesn't have any Bluetooth. Just like the Cloud 2, I tested this with my PS4, my PC. The Cloud 2 I actually was able to use on my phone, but not this. The Cloud 2 Wireless also does connect to HyperX NGENUITY software, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Not a fan of that software at all, but I'll talk more about that. I bought my Cloud 2 for $92 and my Cloud 2 Wireless for $144. To see current pricing on both of these devices, I'll have links below. So getting into headphone audio quality, this is really like a lot of wireless versions of wired devices. The question is really how much worse is the wireless version than the wired version? In short, the sound signature, the EQ curve of both of these sounds pretty much exactly the same, and the clarity is the same as well. But the wireless version is much quieter and there is a constant hiss from the electronic feedback. Sound signature on both of these definitely favors highs and especially upper mids. There's good clarity, not quite as good as the Cloud Alpha or Sony MDR7506, but what really makes these useful for FPS games is the upper mids around the 4 kHz frequency range. It's boosted really loud, which is around where you'll hear footsteps the most, at least in Call of Duty. I've tested a little bit of Valorant with this, and it does help a lot, but I'm mostly a Call of Duty player, so I'm mostly speaking from that perspective. So for that reason, the Cloud 2 Wired had been my staple headset for Warzone, Cold War, and Vanguard until I got the Astro A40 TR, which I feel just has a much more full sound overall. But the thing is, the EQ curve out the box on the Cloud 2 and wireless are made for FPS games. The Astro A40 I think is way better for everything else, but it needs some EQ adjustments to get footsteps to stand out. In my opinion, the Cloud 2 is quite tinny and empty, especially when listening to music. The vocals are thin, instruments aren't that full, and there's just no bass. But I know a lot of people like headsets like this, and they make it known in the comments of my videos. So if you love that type of sound signature, then you'll love the Cloud 2 and Cloud 2 Wireless out the box.
Don't kid yourself. You weren't all that.
I'll talk briefly about HyperX's NGENUITY software in a bit, but there's no equalizer there, so you'll have to use third-party equalizer software like Equalizer APO. But it's definitely a pain to set up with the Cloud 2 Wireless. Not as much with the Cloud 2 because you can just install Equalizer APO to your 3.5 jack and then just plug it into there. But the Cloud 2 wireless, since there's no 3.5 cable and you're gonna have to go through that dongle, that means whenever there's a firmware update, you're gonna have to reinstall Peace to it, which means you have to restart your computer once for the HyperX software and then again for Peace. Is just annoying. I actually had the Cloud 2 wireless EQ'd for a while, but then I had to install a firmware update on the Cloud 2 wireless and now it's off and I'm not putting it back on. I'm good. But okay, let's focus on the differences between the Cloud 2 and Cloud 2 wireless. So the wireless version of the Cloud 2 at 100% volume was like the Cloud 2 wired at 60%. It's not that quiet, but coming from the Cloud 2, which is definitely the loudest headset that I own, headset or headphones, this is difficult to get used to. I'll say that. It's way quieter. If you love your Cloud 2, if you have a Cloud 2 and then you're going to be switching to this, you're going to be like, I can't hear anything. It's really quiet. Also, the hissing sound, I'm hearing it right now. It is quite loud. It's kind of annoying. Pretty much par for the course with wireless devices. Actually, if you have any wireless devices that don't have that hissing, I might want to look into those. So let me know. So for me, I bought the Cloud 2 wireless for over 1.5 times the price of the Cloud 2. And considering the hissing and that it just doesn't get as loud, personally, I don't find it worth it. At least for the audio, this is really going to be for people that just really want the convenience. Now, unlike the wired Cloud 2, the HyperX Cloud 2 wireless connects to HyperX's NGENUITY software, which is not very good. First of all, it's buggy. It's been in beta since forever, I guess. And it wouldn't detect my headset at all until I restarted my computer twice. Then it finally prompted me for a firmware update before working. And honestly, half the time it still doesn't work, period. Like, it won't even detect my HyperX Cloud Alpha S. A lot of the time, like, it was detecting it before for some of my previous reviews, it just won't now. And as you can see, let's see if you can see this light here. The light is blinking, it's connected. I can hear sounds from here, but NGENUITY is just like, nah, we don't see it. We're not gonna let you. So I can't even show you the controls live. I'm gonna have to show you like some B-roll footage of NGENUITY. The software is whack. It's just like Razer Synapse. They just have this, Razer and HyperX got this terrible software. Now, after all that, the software doesn't even really do anything. It just gives you an interface to see and control what you already could on the headset itself. Virtual surround sound, mic volume, mic monitoring, system volume. These are all things you can just control on the headset itself. It is kind of useful to see that the virtual surround sound is on though, because there's no like visual indicator on the device itself, the Cloud 2 wireless that it's on. On the Cloud 2, when you press this button, it turns red. I'll show like a little picture. One thing I do like about the Cloud 2 wireless, well, not like, I just guess I don't hate it as much as the Cloud 2, is the virtual surround sound effect has been toned way, way, way down. Like, I would say it's about 20% as brutal and jarring as it is on the Cloud 2. Now, the virtual surround sound on both does pretty much the same thing, and pretty much the same thing as what like every virtual surround sound headset is trying to do, which is they drop the bass and they add some echo. But it is a lot harder to notice now. You'll really notice it more when it's just like you don't feel any bass at all. So when you're listening to indie music, you'll notice it instantly. I just wish there was some sort of indicator here, or even like made a sound or something like doo-ding or doo-doom. But yeah, we keep all that fake stuff off around here.
Microphone test HyperX Cloud 2. This is what this device sounds like. HyperX Cloud 2 mic test. Keyboard typing, HyperX Cloud 2. This is plugged into the USB sound controller. This is the HyperX Cloud 2 keyboard typing test. HyperX Cloud 2 wireless microphone test. This is what this device will sound like. HyperX Cloud 2 wireless microphone test. Keyboard typing on the HyperX Cloud 2 wireless. This is a mic test. Keyboard typing, HyperX Cloud 2 wireless.
So the mic overall is better on the Cloud 2 wireless. I tested the mic on the Cloud 2 using the USB sound card that comes in the box. The tone is more full and it's a bit clearer. The Cloud 2 is muffled and the noise reduction filter is pretty brutal. It's trying to do like way too much and it ends up compressing the audio really bad. The issue with the Cloud 2 wireless is there is still a pretty strong noise gate, which you can hear kind of cutting off the beginning of your sentences and sometimes the end. They're both of these are trying to get rid of background noise like aggressively, and I'm not really a fan of that. But overall, a lot of people are like they don't want any keyboard sounds, they don't want any sounds from like around the house getting in. So if that's what you're looking for, these will do that. And I guess if you were looking for like actually good audio quality, then you'd get like a mic. Comfort and build quality is pretty much identical here. Just look at that fake leather. Same with both of these devices. I find them incredibly comfortable. S tier in comfort for both the Cloud 2 wired and wireless. They have a very loose fit. They have these metal adjustment brackets. I believe it's aluminum, and they're just super soft. The Cloud 2 wireless would default get the advantage because there's no wire holding it down. Most of this device is actually plastic, but I love these metal adjustment frames just to give it some of that longevity. As far as the highest level of comfort headsets that I have, definitely it's the all up here in the S tier is the Cloud 2 wireless, the Cloud 2, and then the Astro A40 and A50. So if you're looking for something that you can completely forget that it's on your head, but also still have a sturdy build, then the HyperX Cloud 2 wireless or the Cloud 2, really awesome choices. The only one thing to note is that the paint that they have kind of on the outside, it scuffs pretty easily. I've been using this like a lot. Maybe you can tell a little bit how worn in it is, but yeah, the paint does scuff off and it kind of looks whack. But otherwise, super comfortable, great build quality. So for my verdict, the Cloud 2 is an excellent headset for FPS games. For anything else though, like general use, immersive games or music, things like that, then you might be better off with the Cloud Alpha or Cloud Alpha S. This is the Alpha S that I have right here. If you're willing to spend a bit more or a lot more in a lot of cases, then the Astro A40 TR, excellent wired headset. I don't think it's necessarily better than the Cloud 2 for FPS games specifically, but for everything else, the sound is just so much more full. And I've already done a bunch of direct comparisons of the Cloud 2 and the Cloud Alpha and the Alpha S that you can check out. So yeah, Cloud 2 wired, great value purchase. Now the Cloud 2 wireless, I wouldn't buy it. I mean, I did buy it so that I could review it, but like if I was just buying it for a personal use, like a consumer, then nah, I'll pass on it. It's not as loud as the Cloud 2. It has a lot of hiss and it is a pain to EQ, which I really don't like the out-the-box sound signature of this device for anything outside of FPS games. So if I'm going to be using it for anything else, it's so annoying to EQ. Plus those issues that I mentioned before, I'm like, I just don't think it's worth it. Now, I would assume that if you're even looking into a wireless, then you're more concerned with convenience over the absolute highest sound quality. Otherwise, you could just get the wired version. In which case, this is a decent buy, I guess. Maybe if it's on sale, it's a decent buy.